Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Well, another really exciting day today out here in the shop, and that is because I get to finally unveil a build that has been on the shelf for the better part of 2 years, and that is transforming this beautiful 1970 Plymouth Sport Satellite into one of my ultimate dream cars, the 1970 Plymouth Superbird. So I could not be more excited to show this one to you guys. It's going to need a whole lot of metal work, a whole lot of body work, and of course, all those special parts that make the Superbird what it is, and can't wait to show you guys all of that. Now, this originally was my car. I was going to build this for myself, enjoy this myself, but I sold it to a friend of mine, Jeremy Williams, over at Sorta Stock. You guys can find him on YouTube as well as on Instagram at Sorta Stock Mopars. He's got a lot of cool builds going on. He's got a Viper-powered Cuda. We found out in Tucson he also has a very slow Dodge Dart. Sorry, buddy, I had to, but no, go give him a follow. You guys will be able to watch this build finish up on his channel as he brings this thing to a close and puts it back on the road. But this car is going to need a whole lot of work. We've got a huge pallet that I'll show you guys here in a minute from our friends over at AMD, because I've already done the damage assessment on this one. It's got the typical Mopar rust, so pretty much a whole back half, some work on the front half, and little bits and pieces everywhere in between. So without further ado, let's go ahead and walk around our 1970 Plymouth Superbird clone. All right, well, as you guys can see, it's actually pretty solid. Now, I say that because you guys know the rest of my builds start off way, way worse than what this car is. So I don't know if it says more about me or the cars or my budget or whatnot, but this car is actually a really good starting point. And quite honestly, it's a pretty good condition car for what you're gonna find 50 years old in the budget that we're working with, and also just, you know, something that's been sitting for a very, very long time, because there's still a lot of very good sheet metal on this car. But let's go ahead, we'll do a quick deep dive and kind of walk around here. But, you know, kind of starting off with the inside of the car, you guys saw super, super solid. The tops of our rockers are really good, the door jambs are good, our floor pans are good, and the only real rot that we have here is on the inside of our footwell panels on both sides. But man, it's always awesome to see original paint on the floorboards here. Our rear seat pan is in excellent shape. Our deck filler only has the issue here with the window channel, but our package tray as well as this lower kind of filler panel in there is all really, really nice. Now, this car does of course have your typical window seal that leaks, which turns into rotting the entire bottom side out of your window channel. But I did pick up a deck filler panel, and like what we did on our 68 Satellite, we'll go ahead and we'll actually just section in the top piece there. Now, this being a Superbird, of course, it's going to get that back window plug, and it's going to cover all of this anyways, but we want to make sure that we take care of all the rust now, so that way he doesn't have any issues in the future. There's a bit of damage here. I'm not sure what happened, but right about here-ish is where that lead seam is, so we'll go ahead, we'll burn that out, we'll drop off this rear quarter panel and fix everything that's going on underneath, which is actually quite a bit. You guys can see the outer rockers are pretty hammered. This side only needs maybe about half of the outer rocker section in there. Trunk drop completely rotted out, outer wheelhouse completely rotted out. So this entire quarter panel, rocker section, and trunk drop, and also wheelhouse will all be swapped out. But Door on this side, super solid. We're not going to skin this. We're not going to do anything to that. But before I go cutting the quarter panel off, what I will do, I'll probably replace the bushings in this door so that way we can straighten it out, because you guys can see it's kind of cocked back. So the top of it's high, the bottom of it's low, and we want to make sure that we have our door set properly so we can properly set our quarter panel to the car. Now looking up here at the front, and I'm just going to go ahead and say it now, most of you guys know, and if you don't already, Janik Reproductions makes by far and away the best quality Superbird parts that are on the market. So Jeremy has opted for going with the Janik hood, the fenders, and the entire Superbird kit for this car, which is a great choice. You have the option, of course, of running like 70 Coronet front fenders, but again, 50 years old, most of them need work. Most of them are pretty rotted, and you're also going to spend about $2,000 to $2,500 for a pair of some that still need work, mind you. You can go ahead and check out eBay right now, but for a really good set of fenders, original fenders for this car, you'd be looking at about $3 grand for the Superbird conversion. Everything underneath pretty solid with the frame rails. We'll throw it up on the lift here and I'll show you in just a second, but that all looks really nice. I don't know if they side swapped some mailboxes or did something, but this door is really bad. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I went ahead and ordered a door skin, so we'll be doing that on this car. And then probably the most severe rust that I found so far is on this outer rocker. I guess it's of any concern to me. Of course, we're doing outer wheelhouses, trunk drops, quarter panel on this entire side, because you guys can see, I mean, it's all rotted, and we want to cut away as much as we need to eliminate the rust that's on this car. So this entire side of the car is basically going to get replaced. Deck lid's actually super nice. It will need to be shortened, of course, with the Superbird stuff. We'll get into that later. But looking here at the inside of the trunk pan, your typical Mopar rust. Again, bad seals lead to water leaking in here, and it just eats away everything on the inside of the car. Now, I mentioned the trunk drops on both sides are bad. The center of this is all bad. We've also got bad braces in the middle, so I've opted to just go ahead. We're going to pull the whole pan out, clean up the inside of the frame rails, coat those so we don't have anything to worry about, and then we'll put in the brand new trunk pan on the car. But man, I know I listed off a whole lot of stuff there. I think this is probably one of my bigger AMD orders that I've had in quite a long time. I think around 20 pieces, 18, 20 pieces or so. But we're going to transform this thing into something pretty damn cool, and I can't wait to see it, and I can't wait to take a ride in it. So, well, let's go ahead. I'll get it pushed in the garage, take a look underneath, and finish up our damage assessment on the car. Alrighty, so I got the car up on the lift, so let's take a little bit closer look here. We're going to confirm a lot of what we already saw outside. You know, the bottom side of the quarters, both ends of it are really hammered. The outer rockers here, you guys can see, have definitely seen better days, and there's just a lot of scale, a lot of bad metal that's kind of peeling off in certain places of this car. But rest assured, we're going to change it all out. We're going to make it right. Here in the front of the rocker, it's actually in really good shape up here, so we may just be looking at sectioning in that back half. But you know, the factory undercoating is still in place, and I would say about 80% of the locations. But you know, the issues on the bottom side of this car, initially I thought this car would need frame rails, but when you take a closer look, a lot of that factory sheet metal from the factory undercoating is just simply peeling off. So hitting that real quick with the needle scaler, throwing a wire wheel on it, we should be able to clean all that up and make it look like new once it's recoated. We won't get too into this stock 318. Frankly, it's just not that exciting to me. So looking at the rest of the car, again, a lot of what we already knew. You can see here the damage on the floorboard. We've got that on both sides. So we got a matching set of front floor pans that we'll be working on. Again, a lot of this factory undercoating here, you can see it's just kind of fallen off. So if this were one of my cars, what I would do is actually hit the whole thing with the needle scaler or blast the whole bottom side of this thing and actually raptor line the entire thing, and it would look beautiful, brand new, and you wouldn't be worrying about anything peeling off of that anytime soon. But we've got our factory 8 3/4 here still in place. Everything turns really good in that. Not sure what the gear ratio is. We can definitely figure that out. But yeah, looking at the rest of this, again, a lot of stuff just peeling off. A lot of scale on this. I'll be really interested to see, or really to confirm rather, that there's no major issues at all with the frame rails. Initially, I thought we'd be swapping these things out, but they're actually in really, really good shape. It's more or less just the pan, the drops, and the outer wheelhouses on both sides. But I don't know why, but I love the satisfaction of peeling this stuff off. It's the child in me, I guess. But yeah, we got a flapping quarter panel on this side. And then again, this outer rocker on the passenger side is really, really bad. So I cannot wait to gut that off the car. And it's an issue all the way down the entire side of the car. So yeah, we'll be swapping that out. Now looking here also, like I mentioned, the fenders really aren't too big of a deal. He's not going to be using these, but I'm sure somebody could use these to resell. So if you're interested, reach out, and I'll let Jeremy know. Maybe you guys could score a cheap set of front fenders. Now that I'm ouch, damn it. Now that I'm standing here, I'm seeing that we have an issue with that torsion support arm right there on that side. It's definitely not the same on the other side. So what I'm guessing, oh yeah, it's actually peeled up. So looks like something was probably put on that, a tow hook maybe, and it was pulled out. So we'll be putting a new piece on there. The rest of the torsion support's in excellent shape across the entire thing, so we'll be able to fix that, not a problem. But man, guys, the rest of this, pretty straightforward, no real major surprises at all. So, ooh, you can see right there some more tow hook damage. So this one makes a lot more sense, just somebody throwing a hook on the back of this thing, dragging it up or wenching it up onto a trailer or something like that, or maybe even out of a ditch at one point in its life. And those holes are notoriously ripped open with very similar damage. But like I mentioned earlier, this car has actually been sitting over 20 years, and it could be a whole lot worse. But thankfully, AMD offers basically almost every single panel for this car, with the exception of the 70 coronet fenders. I hope they work on those soon, because that would be really nice. But yeah, this entire car really can be bought out of an AMD catalog. So when I did the initial damage assessment on this car, sent over what I thought would need to be replaced, and what do you know, a week later, we have a 10-foot tall pallet of sheet metal here in the garage. So I have yet to rip open this thing, but yeah, we'll grab a knife, we'll go ahead, we'll tear it open, and let's check out all this sheet metal. All right, guys, I'm going to spare you the painful unboxing video here, and quite honestly, there's a greater chance of damage if I take everything out of the box, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit the highlights. Everything made it just fine. I don't see any damage or anything like that, but we've got our driver's side inner fender for the front. You guys remember that was cut out. Both of our rear quarters. Those are really the big pieces that you want to make sure that do not arrive damaged, because they're very expensive, and I hate putting on new panels that already have dents in them. But with AMD, with Saya, I believe is who shipped them here, I've always had really good luck with both companies. But full trunk pan, we've got our drops here on each side. I did not reference directly, but you guys saw the damage on the rear window there, and the corners of the window. There's some reinforcement pieces. Went ahead and ordered both of those, as well as the trunk pan braces. We've got our left side, right side floor pans. We did not opt for the full floor pan this time, just with the damage kind of localized just to the front of the footwells. We're not going to open up the whole thing and do the entire thing, but everything will be cut out, butt welded. We'll make it look like it was never touched. The rear cross rail, like you guys saw, we may or may not need that. We'll see. Once we take off the rear bumper, we'll see if there's any damage there, if we can just fix that one spot where the tow hook ripped through, but we've got it if we need it. Both outer wheelhouses here, the deck filler panel, as well as both outer rockers. Now, when I see this much metal laying around, I get really excited, because it means the car is about to go under the knife, and we're going to make it a whole lot better. A part of me also knows that there is a whole lot of work to come up on this car. So, but with that, guys, I'm gonna quit talking. I know you guys probably tuned in to see some cutting, to see some grinding, and to see a whole lot of sparks flying. So let me find a home for these for now, and let's make some sparks, and let's open up the backside of this car. Alrighty guys, so I got the back half of the car pretty well opened up, and you can see all the major pieces from the rear quarters as well as the trunk pan have been taken off, and I like to do that just to open things up, and so that way I can cut the last pieces into smaller and smaller chunks, and we can slowly work our way around and cut off all the original factory spot welds and not do any more damage to the good parts, because yes, believe it or not, there are some good parts that are left on this car. But opening it up like this, we confirmed outer wheelhouses are absolute trash. The outer rockers on the driver's side, not nearly as bad as I thought it would be. Now, of course, there's still some sections here left on the bottom. We also have the lead that we need to burn out. But you can see here, it's really just open on the back 8 inches or so of that outer rocker piece. So we don't have to section in, a huge chunk. Now, the passenger side, it's bad. It's real bad. So there will be a bigger piece going in there. But confirmed trunk drops are trash. I also went ahead here and I applied a little bit of heat, and then I blasted all of the original seam sealer off with a needle scaler. It makes quick and easy work of this stuff, and the reason I do that is because you guys can see here like how intricate the original factory pieces are, where they're spot welded to like the tail panel, for example, which is good sheet metal. We don't want to damage this, so be slow, take your time, and clean up all this kind of stuff, and it'll make your life a whole lot easier. So you can see all the remnants that are left over from the original quarter panels. We got to take all that off without damaging the tail panel, and yeah, we've damaged some shit before. We don't want to do that again. Now, looking at the tail panel here, everything looks really good. I think those extensions were actually original, and I don't believe they've ever been taken off the car, which is pretty cool. All the seam sealer were still painted over with the factory color, and all the screws do not look like they've ever been touched. All of them are there, which is pretty cool. So yeah, was happy to see that. We've got a little bit of something going on down here. We're going to find out a whole lot more when I hit this with the needle scaler, because it's really going to blast everything off of that. That one damn spot right here where the tow hook ate it, we should be able to hammer dolly that out, straighten it up, weld it closed, and I'll blend that and make it look like it was never damaged. But our trunk pan here, open that up at least here in the center. We've got a lot of meticulous work to do really around the outer perimeter, especially on the inner wheelhouses. Those are in good shape, and you can really damage them fast, especially with like the air chisel, which I'll be using a whole lot of to peel up the factory spot welds. but we're gonna just want to make sure we take our time around those. We don't want to do any damage there. But do have one hole right here we'll have to patch up. But man, the rest of this, guys, there's no real major surprises here. Outer wheelhouse trashed on this side. You guys can see I don't know if that's like a Friday seam sealer job where they could just reach up in there and they boogered it down. That should probably go around that support brace, but I digress. Looking here at this outer rocker, boy oh boy, that's going to be a fun one there, and it's rotted pretty much all the way down the car. So we'll see what we need to do with all that. But yeah, guys, got a whole lot of work to do. Just wanted to kind of give you a little taste of what's to come here with this build. And I tell you what, things moved pretty fast today. I do expect a lot of this stuff to go pretty quick because I've done it so many times already, and we have all the parts here to do it. So yeah, from here, guys, I think I'm going to go ahead, jump straight into that lower window channel repair here on the deck filler. With the trunk open like that, it's a whole lot easier to stand up in the back instead of trying to cram my big ass into the trunk and work off my knees on that deck filler piece. So we'll probably do that. We've also got some hinge rebuilds that we'll have to do, the door hinges. And the reason I did save about an inch there is because I want to make sure that we rebuild our hinges. We've got our doors properly set to our fenders because none of that stuff is going to be coming off. And when I line up all my quarters, we can actually just do it the way off of how the panels were fitting before we did all this work. So I won't do it now just because the lift is in the way, but when you open up this door, it does sag quite a bit in the back. So you guys can see here, just the way that it's fitting, it needs to come up just a little bit, like right there, to make that fitment real nice. So I'll show you guys how to do that. We got a door skin to do on the other side and everything else. So if you haven't done so yet, guys, hit that subscribe button. Thank you all so much for watching. And yeah, can't wait to show you more of this build. So take care. I'll see you all again real soon.